video today, I would like to take us through the 5 reasons why you should consider apple farming as a venture in Nigeria. So in today's video, I'm going to take us through 5 reasons why you should consider starting an apple farm. And reason number 5 is the most important of all, which you don't want to miss. So please stick around to the end of this video so that you get 5 top reasons why you should consider apple farming. So starting with reason number 1. The reason number 1 why I think you should start thinking of apple farming in Nigeria is low barrier to entry. Now, there's low barrier to entering any farming venture generally in Nigeria, not just apple farming. So, and for apple farming, this low barrier to entry is such that you can start, there's no need for any registration, for instance, no need to obtain any permit from any government office or anything. So you don't need to spend any money upfront in terms of registration or permit or licensing. So in that regard, there's a very low barrier to entry. So anybody can start this farming, whether you're a student or a civil servant or a retired civil servant or a businessman. It is something you can always start by the side. It does not cost much to start capital-wise in terms of outlay, some other things like registrations. It also has low maintenance cost. That brings me to point number 2. The reason number 2 why you should want to start apple farming is that apple farm has a low maintenance cost. Low maintenance cost in terms of low cost of labor. In Nigeria here, generally, especially in northern Nigeria, cost of labor is quite cheap. You can get farm workers that can work for the whole day in the farm for as low as 1,000 naira or 2,000 naira. So in that regard, there's low cost of maintenance, and there is even few maintenance to be done in any case. Apple farming does not require you to be on the farm every single day. If you are a weekend kind of person, you're only free during weekends, you can still do apple farming. Once a week is enough for you to go around your farm and see what is happening and take whatever necessary action that is necessary to be taken. There's also, as part of the low maintenance, there's also no high-tech equipment needed for you to start any apple farming. You don't need tractors for plowing. You don't need big, fancy equipment for you to start apple farming. All you just need is a piece of land and the seedlings, and you're good to go. So that brings me to reason number 3 why you should consider apple farming. And the reason number 3 is because there is a large market for apples in Nigeria, both locally, and there's also a large market, foreign market for apples that can be farmed from Nigeria. And in the local markets, apples are sold in malls, in supermarkets, and even by roadside vendors or even street vendors that are hawking it around in the sun and all that. So all these people represent potential buyers from you. And as I said, there are also foreign markets. Because of the climatic difference between us in tropical countries and in the temperate world, when they are in winter, their apples don't fruit. And the time they are in winter is about the time that we are in the dry season in this part of the world. And those are the times that our own apples will be fruiting. And therefore, that can serve as a huge international market that one can explore during those times, especially if you have, the right quantity of apples to deliver to such markets. And another good reason why you should consider foreign markets is that you get paid in hard currency, and this is what you require as a farmer from Nigeria. If you can stay in Nigeria and farm apples, your cost is going to be in naira. But when you sell it in the international market, you are selling in dollar. And so the so-called devaluation of the naira or falling of the naira against the dollar will not even affect you. If anything, that phenomenon will be working in your favor because you'll be getting more naira for every dollar that you are earning. But if the reverse was the case, let's say you are producing in dollar and you're selling in naira, then the currency exchange will be against you. But as it stands right now, a good apple farmer stands to gain from the current currency exchange regime that we have in Nigeria. So that leads me to point number 4. Point number 4 is if you start apple farming in Nigeria, you're going to be creating employment. You're going to need labor to work on the farm, and you're going to need labor that will do the harvesting and some other value chain of apple farming can develop, and employment will be created even at those levels. For instance, apples cannot just be eaten raw as we eat them mostly. They can be processed into fruit juice, into apple cider, and into many other things. It can even be dried as dried fruit. And these are value chains that one can look into exploring once you have apples in commercial quantities, and employments are going to be generated at all this level. Now, point number 5, and which I consider the most important, is that apple farming has a high return on investment. There is a high ROI that you will see to what extent the apple farming investment makes sense or lack of sense if you wish, and you'll be able to make an informed decision for yourself if this is a venture that you should go into. So this is where I'll draw the curtain on today's video, and keep farming.